The city breathed in neon and exhaled shadows. It was the kind of night where the streets whispered with secrets, where headlights cast fleeting ghosts against rain-slick pavement. Officer Brian Randall sat in his patrol car, his fingers drumming idly against the steering wheel, his gaze sharp, scanning. Always scanning. He considered himself a man of instinct. A protector of order. A filter between law-abiding citizens and those who didn't belong. And in his mind, he knew exactly what not belonging looked like. That's when he saw it. A sleek black sedan, gliding down the street like it owned the road. Tinted windows, polished exterior, an engine so smooth it barely whispered. But it wasn't just the car that caught Randall's attention. It was the man behind the wheel. A black man, dressed too well, sitting too confidently. His posture was straight, his movements measured. Not hurried, not hesitant, just controlled. Randall's jaw tightened. He had seen men like this before. The ones who thought they were untouchable. The ones who acted like their suits and their polished shoes made them any different. Flipping on his lights, he accelerated forward, cutting the sedan off at the next intersection. The vehicle rolled to a smooth stop. No panic. No fumbling. Just precision. That irritated Randall. Stepping out of his car, he adjusted his belt, letting his hand rest near his holster, not a direct threat, just a reminder. As he approached the driver's side, the window rolled down smoothly, revealing the man inside. The driver turned his head slowly, meeting Randall's gaze with an expression that was unreadable. Not nervous. Not defiant. Just waiting. Randall didn't like that. License and registration, he snapped, his voice sharp, clipped. The man inside didn't flinch. Didn't ask questions. He moved with deliberate slowness, reaching into the glove compartment and retrieving the documents. When he handed them over, his fingers didn't tremble. Randall snatched them from his hand, glancing down. Daniel Carter. The name didn't ring a bell, but Randall wasn't convinced yet. "What brings you out here, Carter?" he asked, his tone laced with suspicion. The man exhaled softly. "Driving home from work." Randall smirked. "Yeah? And where exactly do you work?" Carter's face remained calm. He didn't sigh, didn't roll his eyes. He had the patience of a man who had been through this before. "In law enforcement." Randall scoffed. "That so? What department?" Carter reached into the inner pocket of his suit jacket and pulled out an ID, holding it out with a steady hand. Randall took it, his smirk barely concealed, until his eyes landed on the words printed on the badge. And then, his whole world tilted. The ID felt heavier than it should have. Randall's fingers tightened around it as his eyes scanned the words again, as if they might change. Internal Affairs Division. Chief Investigator Daniel Carter. A slow, creeping cold spread through Randall's chest. This wasn't just some guy. This wasn't even just a cop. This was the man who investigated officers. The man who had the power to open cases, dig through files, pull records. The man who could end careers. The night air, once humid and thick, suddenly felt suffocating. Randall's grip on the ID stiffened. His pulse pounded against his skull. This had to be a joke. A setup. Something. Carter tilted his head slightly, watching him with an expression that Randall couldn't quite decipher. It wasn't amusement. It wasn't anger. It was something worse. Calm. Collected. Like a man who already knew how this was going to play out. Then Carter moved, slow, deliberate. Reaching into his pocket again. Randall's heart nearly stopped. But Carter wasn't reaching for a weapon. He was reaching for his phone. The screen illuminated his face with a cold blue glow as he tapped something. Randall couldn't see what, but he didn't have to. He knew. "You know, Officer Randall," Carter finally spoke, his voice unsettlingly casual, "I've been looking into racial profiling complaints in this district." Randall's throat went dry. Carter met his gaze. "Your name comes up, more than once. Randall felt something tighten in his gut. Carter took his ID back, slipping it smoothly into his jacket. He exhaled, as if considering something, then took a step closer. "I'd ask if you have a legitimate reason for stopping me tonight," he said, "but I think we both know the answer." Randall opened his mouth, searching for words. An excuse. A reason. Anything. But nothing came out. The city seemed to go silent around him. And for the first time in his career, he wasn't the one in control. The silence stretched between them, thick, suffocating. The flashing red and blue lights painted shifting shadows across Carter's face, but his expression never changed. Randall could feel the sweat prickling at the back of his neck. His uniform, usually a symbol of authority, felt too tight, constricting. Carter took a slow step back, his gaze never leaving Randall's face. Then, with the same unshaken calm, he tapped something on his phone screen. Randall's stomach twisted into knots. "Expect a call from my office in the morning," Carter said. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't a warning. It was a fact. Randall stood frozen, his mind racing, his body betraying him with a cold sweat creeping down his back. His future, his badge, his entire career, all of it now hung in the balance. Carter turned away, stepping back into his car. He didn't slam the door. He didn't peel off angrily. He simply started the engine and pulled away, the hum of the vehicle fading into the night. Randall remained standing, his hands clenched at his sides, staring at his own reflection in the polished surface of the departing sedan. For the first time in his life, Officer Brian Randall knew what it felt like to be powerless.